Your mom was sleeping?
Yeah, she was sleeping.
Exactly did you cut her?
At first, I cut her right here.
As to her, did she say anything to you or no?
No, she just screamed.
She just screamed?
Yes.
Tasted blood. There was so much blood. It was all over me.
This is 16-year-old Jeremy Goodale, charged with helping his classmate, Willard Miller, murder their 66-year-old Spanish teacher, Noima Graber, in Fairfield, Iowa. Motivated by a poor grade he had received in Graber's class, which he feared would prevent him from participating in a study abroad program, Miller began planning her death.
On November 2nd of 2021, I met Willard Miller at Chautauqua Park. I understood that he had the intent to kill Mrs. Graber. Shaden had brought a bat, among other supplies, to go through with the murder. And after he had struck Noima Graber, we then moved her off of the trail, where I then struck her, and she died as a result.
The two teenagers stalked Graber during her daily walk in Fairfield's Chautauqua Park and brutally beat her to death with a baseball bat. At his sentencing, Goodale appeared visibly remorseful and struggled to hold back tears.
I want to say I'm grateful for this chance to speak my piece. I offer my sincerest apologies to the Graber family, but I know my words will never be enough. I've had time to think on what to say, and I'm sorry, truly sorry. What I've taken can never be replaced. Every day I wish I could go back and stop myself, prevent this loss and this pain that I've caused everyone. And I'm understanding now that Miss Graber meant so much to so many people. She was a support to the community and those close to her. And she was a caregiver to her family, to her children, and to her own husband.
Despite the gruesome nature of the crime, the judge acknowledged that Goodale showed genuine regret for his actions.
With respect to your remorse, Mr. Goodale, and unlike your co-defendant, it's clear to me that you have regretted this role in Miss Graber's murder. You've been remorseful for these proceedings, and this is a mitigating factor. Factor G is your acceptance of responsibility. This is another mitigating factor, Mr. Goodale. You pled guilty to first-degree murder and acknowledged your actions.
He also pointed to Goodale's young age and immaturity at the time the crime was committed.
Going to the level of maturity of you, Mr. Goodale, again, I think this is a mitigating factor.
However, remorse alone could not outweigh the severity of what happened. The murder was highly premeditated, with Goodale planning the attack for at least 2 weeks. After the initial blow, Goodale admitted he struck Graber several more times to make sure she was dead.
I was posted as a lookout while Shaden struck her in the back of the head with his bat.
And as we've discussed, you understood at that point, you had participated in the planning, you were also culpable of what was going on, and upon seeing that Shaden's strike did not kill Miss Graber, you also struck her to ensure that she had passed away. Is that correct?
Correct.
The defendants shall be sentenced to life with the possibility of parole after 25 years.
Willard Miller, who showed far less remorse,
I'd like to take this opportunity to wholeheartedly accept responsibility for the role that I've played in the murder of Noima Graber. I would like to apologize for my actions. First and foremost, to the family, I'm sincerely sorry for the distress that I've caused you and the devastation I've caused your family. And from the bottom of my heart, I am sorry for your loss. I'm sorry to hear about Paul Graber.
was also sentenced to life in prison, but with the possibility of parole after 35 years.
That I am to consider in sentencing a juvenile in the state of Iowa for murder in the first degree, that the defendant, Willard Noble Chayton Miller should be sentenced to life with the possibility of parole after 35 years.
Goodale showed remorse in court, but how does that compare to a teen who remained emotionless despite committing a deadly crime? That brings us to the case of Perez Larry Jr. At just 16 years old, Larry was charged in a fatal shooting during an apartment complex dispute in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin.
I want to start off by saying I'm sorry to the victims, family, and the cause of their death of their family member. I'm sorry for all my actions that took in this place. And in this courtroom, I don't really know what to say. I done lost a lot of my family members in crossfire, so I know how I feel, and I'm gonna take responsibility for everything that's in this case. And I just want to say sorry to my family and to their family. Hope everybody could forgive me or what my actions took.
Despite offering emotional apologies during his sentencing in December 2025, the judge reminded the courtroom of the seriousness of the crime.
It's a plethora of some of the most serious charges anyone could be facing. Not only did people die, or a person died, multiple people were injured, multiple people were put at risk of losing their life or otherwise being seriously injured.
On May 7th, 2023, at Maplewood Commons in Fond du Lac, 14-year-old Larry and an accomplice fired handguns during a dispute. One bullet struck 20-year-old Tatiana Zek in the head. She died instantly.
Perez Larry Jr. pleaded not guilty to 17 felony charges for his alleged involvement in the crime, which left one person dead and 3 more hurt. If convicted, he could spend the rest of his life behind bars. He and Antonio Johnston were arrested after a 2023 shooting that killed 20-year-old Tatiana Zek. This happened at the Maplewood Commons apartments on Martin Avenue.
As the judge explained how she reached the sentence she was about to deliver, Larry scratched his head, appearing to realize that no good news was coming.
And as to count 9, the court is going to order life imprisonment without the possibility of extended supervision.
When the sentence was read, Larry remained largely emotionless. He is currently incarcerated within the Wisconsin Department of Corrections, serving his sentence for the shooting conviction. Larry showed little emotion, but what happens when a victim's family directly confronts a convicted teen killer?
I'm ashamed of myself, and I know that there's nothing I can ever do to undo the pain that I've caused.
That moment unfolded in the case of Mark Anthony Osborne. Osborne was charged in the killing of a teenage girl in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
The body of Jessica Ledford was found naked and posed to look like a random assault in Grand Rapids Highland Park in May of 1999. The man who killed her gathered with family as they grieved before he was finally convicted and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for the crime he committed 50 days before his 18th birthday.
On July 26, 1999, Osborne, who was 17 at the time, was convicted of the death of 16-year-old Jessica Ledford. Prosecutors said the encounter escalated after an argument, ultimately resulting in fatal injuries.
We would play one guitar and I would play one hand and she would play the other, and we could just do that for hours and just get lost in the music together.
The two were engaged in 1999, ready to start their lives together.
And Jessica Ann Ledford was my fiance. That is, until she was brutally and murdered and left lying naked in a ditch in Highland Park at the hands of Mark Anthony Osborne on May 22nd, 1999. At that time, Jessica had just graduated high school and she had a bright and promising future to look forward to. She was young, incredibly beautiful, highly intelligent, extremely creative and musically talented, with a magnetic personality that was just bursting with positive energy and potential.
He took our beautiful girl from us forever, but at least he would spend his life in prison.
During his resentencing in 2024, Osborne appeared calm and composed as Jessica's family delivered emotional impact statements.
This is my beautiful Jessica. Okay. She was talented. She was amazing. She had a heart that was pure gold. And like Chris said, she took everybody into her heart. She didn't meet anybody that didn't become her friend. She had a way of bringing people together.
When Jessica's stepmother finished speaking, Osborne addressed the court himself, expressing what he described as remorse.
I wanted to reach out to Ms. Medina and Ms. Ledford for years to let them know how terrible I feel for what I've done. I'm ashamed of myself, and I know that there is nothing I can ever do to undo the pain that I've caused. Just seeing what it's done to my own family, I can only imagine what this has done to yours. And I'm truly sorry for everything that I've put you through for the last 19 years.
But the judge was not persuaded, choosing instead to deliver a sentence intended to bring some measure of comfort to the victim's family.
Sir, I do not believe that you should be resentenced. I believe that you have to deal with the consequences of your actions. I believe that you were only 50 days from being an 18-year-old, and that would be totally different if you were 12, 13, or 14. But under the law, as I see it, I am not going to be resentencing you.
Osborne was resentenced to 40 to 60 years in prison. He remains incarcerated in Michigan, with parole eligibility to be considered in the future. Another case involves Uriah Lee Urick Jr. At 18 years old, Urick was charged with shooting and killing 61-year-old Tammy King inside her home in Backcliff, Texas. Urick had sent his girlfriend, Tara Lynn King, who was the victim's granddaughter, several disturbing messages. One read, "I want to see a .556 shred through someone's skin." Further messages revealed that the pair had been planning to kidnap, rob, and kill Tammy King for weeks.
While this is happening, Terry has realized he's not heard from Tammy. He's asking her, is something wrong? Are you mad at me? And he's getting a couple answers back, but they don't really sound normal. Yeah, just a long day. And ultimately, then his messages stop going through. They change color. He says, have you blocked me? What's wrong? Concerned, Terry calls 911 and goes to Tammy's house, where something he feels is clearly amiss. Because the police have to have aggravating circumstances in order to enter your home, all they had was a girlfriend not answering a boyfriend's text for a day and a half. So the sheriff's office said, we don't have ability to enter. Terry said, well, I'm going to call Chris, Tammy's son, and I'm going to enter. I'm going to make sure she's okay. You will see through Deputy Couch's body cam that ultimately Terry enters that home. And you will watch as Terry walks inside. He notices something doesn't smell right. And then you will see as Terry walks out of the house, sobbing and devastated, saying you need to get in there. What police find when they walk inside is Tammy is lying on that bed where Uriah and Tara had left her. But they had taken sheets and laundry and piled it up all over her body so you could hardly see her. You will hear from Terry that they moved a washer behind the back door to block the door from being opened. They locked Tammy's bedroom from the inside. They blocked the window with a mattress. They locked the front door. They did everything they could to try and hide it. At this point, an investigation begins, and the sheriff's office puts out a press release on that Friday.
During his sentencing in November 2025, Urick appeared calm and emotionless as the judge read the verdict.
It is an order of this court that you, Mr. Urick, who have been adjudged guilty of the offense of capital murder, and whose punishment is assessed at life in prison, that you be delivered to the sheriff of the Galveston County.
Because Urick was 18 at the time of the murder, Texas law mandated an automatic life sentence without parole. He is currently incarcerated in Texas, where he will remain for the rest of his life. If you enjoy videos like this, subscribe and ring the bell so you do not miss the next one.